Good morning. Welcome to Crypto Charts Daily. This is the Crypto Charts Daily Report. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2025. Let's get right into it. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Crypto Charts Daily Report, it is the best cryptocurrency technical analysis broadcast on YouTube. We cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, plus 15 other altcoins, and we do top-down analysis from the daily time frame down to the lower time frames. So you stay up to date on every single market movement. My name is Tanner. I am a full-time trader and I am a Coinbase VIP. And what that means is that my monthly trading volume on Coinbase is over a certain amount. With that being said, guys, it is Monday. It is Meme Coin Monday. We're also going to do analysis on the top three meme coins, Doge, Pepe, and Shiba. And with Bitcoin here breaking structure to the downside, heading for those 107 lows, it's going to be a great broadcast. So stick with me. Let's get right into it. As we can see here, the market cap is up 2.4%, back up to 3.8 trillion. The CMC 20 is also up 2.75%. Fear and greed still in the 40s. Altcoin season slipping here a little bit back down into the 60s, and the average crypto RSI is returning to a neutral state. Now, guys, let's get right into the technical analysis. Looking at the daily time frame on Bitcoin here, we were waiting for the break of that low of 107 to then go test this order block and higher time frame support here. As you can see though, we are getting strength at low, so we're just going to jump down on the lower time frames and look for this high to break on the 4-hour time frame. Jumping down on the 4-hour, this order block that we were monitoring last week that broke structure here did end up breaking down, and we were talking about these lows now here did end up breaking and closing below those lows, but we did not get the break to 107. So what we're going to look for now is to return to this area of accumulation where our fixed range volume profile is, and we're going to test this high in this order block that broke the structure. If price ends up getting rejected at this order block here that broke structure, then we will just look for the break of these lows of 108,700 to then go push down to those 107 lows. But if we break this high here of about 114, we'll look for price to then go push up to highs and test that high again. Ethereum, we've been waiting for it to return to the structure here and test this higher time frame support, but we are going to have to jump down onto the 4-hour here to see what's going. So we have this higher time frame break. As you guys can see, support broke here. We swept the low, returning to that higher time frame structure, and now we're just downtrending here. We'll mark out our most recent break. And now, as we can see on the 4-hour, we do have a support and resistance flip. As we can see, price is respecting this flip here, but it is returning to that structure, to that accumulation that broke this structure to the downside. So we are just going to look for price to reject out of this order block, perhaps come down for this liquidity and sweep this low. If price ends up closing above this high though of 4,200 on the day, just look for it to go test highs and fill in balance. And if price ends up breaking down, just look for that low of 3,800 to break to then go test that higher time frame support. XRP, guys, we could see our higher time frame resistance at play, pushing price back down to this support. We did end up closing a few days under support here, so it was flipping resistance. But as you guys could see yesterday, the week closed above this support, or closed above this resistance, excuse me. So we will look for it to retest and flip support again here. Let's jump down onto the lower time frames to see exactly what's going on here. Jumping down on the 4-hour time frame, we could see how price is testing support. It does look bearish though. I'm going to mark this as a break of structure. So it does look like we are just trending into that order block. And if price ends up getting rejected and closes below this low, this closes below the support and resistance flip, excuse me, it will become resistance and we'll push down and look for the break of those lows at 270. If price ends up being strong, bouncing this resistance, bouncing this possible support, we'll look for price to then push past this order block of about 299 here. for then our break and retest to the upside. But until we get that break of $3, I would just look for price to accumulate, test this order block, and then push past the lows here. Jumping into the altcoins, Binance Coin testing that order block that we marked out on Friday. Perfect reaction out of this order block. And now we'll jump down onto the lower time frames to see what's going on. As we could see, we did break that low, so we are breaking structure to the downside, but we are returning to that accumulation we marked out Friday. And I said if we get a reaction to that accumulation with that strong low sitting there, we'll just look for a price to go then test highs. Because of this break of structure, though, I would just look to see how price reacts in this area right here. If we break this high of 1,033, though, I'd look for price to then go test highs. If we get rejected out of this order block here that broke structure, just look for price to then go break these lows of 935 and break this low of 913 for the then test of our higher time frame support and to go grab some of that liquidity down there. Solana, we just got the break and retest of that support and resistance flip here. So now we are just getting rejected at the higher time frame resistance, and then we're going to go test this higher time frame support. So again, over the next few days, just look to see how price accumulates on top of the support, perhaps tests it. If we break below, obviously look for the break and retest for continuation to our higher time frame support. But if we end up closing bullish in the next few days, we'll see how price reacts to this imbalance here. Jumping down on the 4-hour, you could see that imbalance would clear out all this liquidity and all this structure before then testing that higher time frame support. On the 4-hour, just look for price to test these order blocks. If we break below this low of 200, we'll probably then go break this low here of about 190. Cardano here, break and retest, break of structure to the upside, and now we are just testing that order block that broke structure to the upside, matched up with our higher time frame support here at 77 cents. So we will just look for these daily candles to continue closing strong above the support, and I would like to see this daily candle close bullish above the high of 81 cents to then go push up and test this higher time frame resistance and test these highs. Jumping down on the 4-hour, we can see how we have a break of structure, price test support, and now hopefully this is a change of character here off of this support and resistance flip, and we could just trend upwards. But because of this break, just look for this order block or this high to test, probably testing right now actually. And if we get rejected here and push past this low of 676 cents, we'll then go push to test higher time frame support. But if price ends up breaking this high of 82 cents and closing up above or in this imbalance, we'll look for price to go test that higher time frame resistance. Chain link breaking structure off of that support, testing resistance, and now we are just breaking structure on this daily candle here, breaking structures to the downside. Chain link, we obviously got rejected at resistance, and now we have just been trending downwards here, breaking structure. And now we're going to look for the lows of about $19 to break to then go test this higher time frame support at $17. If price ends up closing bullish today, I'll look for price to fill some imbalance and then go test this higher time frame order block. Jumping down on the 4-hour, we can see how price just broke structure, and now it is testing that resistance that broke structure, that order block. And if we get rejected, I just look for price to then go continue and break this low at $19. If price closes strong, respects this order block, perhaps we just look for the high to break of about $22. Stellar Lumens broke below resistance, tested it here, and we are just looking for the break of this low of 34 cents. Price keeps sweeping and testing these lows, but not breaking it. It's a good sign. If we could get some strength and close below this high of about 38 cents, we'll then go test this higher time frame resistance again. And that's what we'll be looking for, just a test of this higher time frame resistance or a continuation bearish for the break of lows of 34 cents. Avalanche, we got that sweep of that high, and we did say look how price returns to this accumulation. Looks like we closed below this accumulation, but we are still getting support here at this fill of this imbalance and a return to this higher time frame structure. So over the next few days, just look for price to keep accumulating on this zone, or if we get the break of this low of $27, look for price to then go test this higher time frame support. On the 4 hour, we are just uptrending now here, so we did get a break and now just look to see how price tests that order block. But if we break below, again, that low of $27, we'll just look for a good test of higher time frame support. And because we got this break to the downside, I'd look for a test of this order block here at about $32. Hedra, we did end up closing below that low, so that is a break of structure. And again, I just look for obviously the continuation for lows to break here at about 20.5 cents. Or I'd look for the retracement up to then go test this resistance again at about 23 cents. And if we break the low of 20 cents, guys, just look for higher time frame support, higher time frame order blocks, Fibonacci levels, anything here. Litecoin, we broke and retested that support and resistance zone, so we are just looking for a price to test this support again. So we have just been watching how price accumulates on the support again. And as you can see, lots of daily wicks here. And jumping down on the lower time frames, we could see how we did break structure to the downside on the support. And now price is returning to this order block to this high. And if we could get the break of 107, we'll look for the test of higher time frame resistance. But if price gets rejected out of this order block that broke structure to the downside, we're just going to look for the test of this higher time frame support or the break of these lows of about $100 here. Polkadot still accumulating in that order block, in that support that had a minor change of character here. And these daily candles have been wicking out, and we closed above this support again. So we are just going to look for the close above this high of about $4. But if we end up closing bearish below this low of about 377, we'll look for the sweep of the support. Uniswap, we are just returning to that higher time frame support, and we'll look to see how price reacts to this higher time frame support. We also have this break of structure here, so we have some support where price can react from, and we'll just see how price reacts over the next few days. Ondo Finance getting rejected at that dollar resistance, and we are just looking to see if we can close below any of these lows here within this higher time frame range of about 90 cents to $1 here. If we close below this low of about 85 cents, we'll then go look for that test of higher time frame support. But if price still finds support here, we'll just look for the test of that resistance again of $1. Polygon, nothing new, getting rejected, and we did say look for the retracement, the sweep of this accumulation, and the return to this higher time frame support, this order block here that broke structure to the upside. So over the next few days, we'll just look for strength or look to see how price reacts to these lows. Algorand here looking incredibly bearish. As you guys can see, huge support zone just broke and flipped. So we are going to look for the retest of that 22-cent zone or a test of this higher time frame resistance up here now. And obviously on the day, if we close below the low of 20 cents, we're just going to look for the test of that higher time frame support. Looking at the 4-hour, we could see this break of structure here, and now price is just accumulating with equal lows here. So I would expect equal lows to break or us go retest this order block that broke structure to then go push price bearish again. Quant, we did end up sweeping that order block that broke structure here, but I said if we close above this high of 105, we'll look for the test of higher time frame support. The price is still getting held up here, so we will just look for the test of this order block today. If we end up getting rejected though, look for the break of this low of 86 to then go test this higher time frame support. IOTA just accumulating at lows, accumulating at support here. And if we end up closing above this high of 17 cents on the day, I'd look to fill in balance and test some higher time frame resistance. But if we close below the low of about 15 cents, I'd look to then go break the lows of this order block and test higher time frame support. XDC, nothing new, just accumulating perfect between the support and resistance flip, and we are just looking for that test of 6 cents to then go run up to 10 cents. All right, guys, the meme coin starting off with Dogecoin. Doge is returning to the accumulation, returning to the support, and we do have an order block here that broke this minor high. So perhaps an internal change of character here. We did then run up and test resistance though. So again, I'd look for price to then just trade back down into the support. Perhaps we'll sweep out some of this accumulation, perhaps the order block. But yeah, just look for price to test this support of 20 cents. Jumping down on the 4 hour here on Doge, we could see a break of structure, some accumulation, and I would just look for the test of this order block again. And if we get rejection out of this order block, just look for the lows to break of 21 cents. If we close above this order block though on the day of 25 cents, just look for the push to higher time frame resistance. Shiba Inu failed to break out, and now we did just retrace to go sweep out that support here. And I am just looking for a retest of this support here. Jumping down on the 4 hour, we can see that break of structure, and we could see how price already retested that order block. So again, just look for rejection out of that 4 hour order block to break these lows here and test higher time frame support. If we end up closing bullish back above this high here, then we'll look for the test of higher time frame support or resistance, excuse me. Pepe trading beautifully between this support and this resistance, unfortunately getting rejected out of this order block that broke structure here. And now we are just looking to see how price reacts to these lows, but I'd expect price to then go test this higher time frame order block. But then I'd expect price to then go test this higher time frame support. Jumping down on the 4 hour, we do need to keep in mind this is a higher time frame low, but if we just go off this most recent break of structure, we'll look for price to obviously return to this high, return to this order block. If price ends up getting rejected out of this order block, we'll look for the low to break here to then go test higher time frame support. Or if we close above, obviously we'll look for the test of higher time frame resistance. All right, guys, that was Monday's episode of the Crypto Charts Daily Report. Again, we do these reports Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Share with your friends that you're told to buy crypto at highs, and give me any sort of feedback that can help improve these daily reports. Again, I'm just getting it started, and any feedback is great, guys. So with that being said, I appreciate it, and peace out.